This is Tiger Cats postgame on the Ticats Audio Network.
Tiger Cats postgame on a slobber knocker of a victory for the Tiger Cats. Old school football here at Tim Hortons Field. Just enough offense. Special teams do their job, and boy, did that defense shine. Tiger Cats now 5-10, Riders 6-10, and the playoff situation in the Canadian Football League for that, what could have been a crossover situation, boy, it is now on. Bubba O'Neill along with Andy Fantuz, and I'm going to tell you there, Andy, I guess I passed the stress test.
This is playoff football, and you talk about by any means necessary. What a performance and what a turnaround at halftime to tighten things up. We talk about that defense only allowing 72 yards in the second half, zero points. Just an incredible job. Seven sacks total in the game by this defensive line and linebacker crew. Just amazing. Like 3-3 in the turnovers. If you told me that Dane Evans would be 11 for 24 for 214 yards, 0 touchdowns and 2 interceptions, and that the Ticats would win the game, I don't know if I'd believe you when this game started. But that's the definition of complimentary football and just digging deep and getting the job done.
All kinds of things here on the Tiger Cats post-game show. Andy will review his CarStar 3 keys. We'll get down to the locker room for, I'm sure, will be a happy locker room, and talk to Coach O, and a player to be named, of course. We'll hope it's Wes Hills, who could be our performer of the game. And those are brought to you by Access Storage and Hercules Tire, right on our strength. We'll also go roundtable style, talk to Courtney Stephen, and bring in Luke Tasker from the booth. So, Andy, I think now we were kind of dreaming about it. And, boy, I got to give you a lot of credit, because to me, pretty much for most of the season, the crossover was going to be in effect. And now the Tiger Cats have made things real complicated.
Well, they control their destiny. They still need to win games. They need to win at least one, but the more the better. But they control it because they have 3 games left. They need that magic number of 3, and that's a combination of Tiger Cat wins and Saskatchewan losses. Saskatchewan has 2 games remaining. Tiger Cats have 3 games remaining. So if they win 1 and Saskatchewan loses 2, they're in. If they win 2, Sask loses 1, they're in. You get the idea. So they control it, but they still need to win. But much better feeling going into the next week. And it's a matter of following up a performance like this with another performance like this in a playoff mindset, which is what they've had trouble with so far this season after big victories.
Don't want to forget about this one, but looking forward, there is a trip to McMahon Stadium, which has not been a friendly place for the Tiger Cats over the years. I think even going back to you playing, this has been a tough place to win, and Calgary are certainly playing for something. And then there's the back-to-back, a home and home, starting here at Tim Hortons Field against the Ottawa Red Blacks, whereas Ottawa, to change that, Saskatchewan have 2 games still left. I mean, again, reminder, Tiger Cats have 3 games, Saskatchewan have 2, and they're both against Calgary.
Yeah, Calgary really holds the cards here, and you got to remember that Calgary could be in a position come 2 weeks from now where their playoff picture might be a little more set in stone. So maybe in that last week they could be resting people. So you don't want to be in a situation where you're counting on Calgary to win, because they might not be in a situation where they need to win for anything regarding the playoff picture. But who knows? That's down the road. The important thing is Tiger Cats a huge victory. You got to give so much credit to that defense. Malik Carney, just a monster all game long. He had 3 sacks, 4 tackles. A couple other times he had pressure to force a sack or a step up from Cody Fajardo. And he wasn't the only one. I mean, Voshan Joseph, a great
Where did he come from?
Game. Yeah, 7 tackles and a sack. What a play. And you know what? The one thing that they're going to have to clean up a little bit, and we'll talk to Coach O, and in a chippy, grimy, playoff atmosphere type game like this, it's hard to really keep your composure completely.
Right.
We did talk about that, but they took some penalties that hurt them. The offensive line in particular, and a couple after the whistle by the defense. So that's something that they're going to have to clean up going forward.
You know what? Perfect opportunity right now, Andy, for us to review your CarStar 3 keys to the game.
Well, the first one was offensive balance, and at halftime it was a little disappointing because there was only 3 receivers had caught passes. It was a heavy dose of Wes Hills, which is great, and but Tim White had been targeted 7 times. There was only 4 other throws to other people in the first half, but that changed a bit in the second half, and we saw other players get involved. Ended up with 6 different receivers catching passes. We saw another heavy dose of Wes Hills, which is good, and then Sean Thomas Erlington sprinkled in there. So I'm going to give them a check mark on this. You'd like to see that happen a little earlier, but at the end of the day, those other players really were key to get some critical first downs.
Number 2.
Number 2 was composure. And this one, I'm not going to give them the credit on because of those penalties that we talked about. The composure of Dane Evans late in the first half, just being able to be poised in the pocket and step in and make a throw, or to when he was scrambling, he seemed to be rushing it. He didn't really have necessarily anyone about to tackle him, and he was kind of rushing the pitch or the throw. And I think he's going to look at the film and think he could done a lot better. But they did improve throughout the game, but it's still not quite what I wanted to see for a game that you knew was going to have that sort of intensity that it did. Key number 3 was win the turnover battle, and with that last late pick by Seontae Evans, it was 3-3 in the turnovers. The ones that Hamilton gave up were very costly, very costly. Both of the offensive turnovers were in scoring position, and the block punt led to a touchdown because they were backed up in their own end. So that, not good, but I guess objectively it was a tie on that one.
Let's bring in our roundtable, Courtney Stephen and Luke Tasker. They are in here with Andy Fantuz and myself to discuss and break down this big Tiger Cats victory. And we cannot ignore the efforts and the execution, especially in the second half of the defense. Courtney, I mean, just great coverage downfield. So if you get that pressure up front, it could be a huge difference maker.
Well, they got this thing called a coverage sack. And I think it was the full defense contributing today because so many different pass rushers had a disruptive presence in the Saskatchewan offensive backfield. So it was fun to watch guys who all year long have been working hard, and a guy like Julian Hauser, who came out of the lineup and came back in, had an impact. A guy like Malik Carney, who had been down and up and down and up, and he got his name called, and he answered the bell in a big way. Vashawn Joseph, a guy who's been working on special teams, contributing. It was a full team effort, and it was exactly what the Ticats needed in a close one.
Luke, I think I could sense it even from you and us here down here on the 4th floor, on the Hall of Fame floor here at Tim Hortons Field, getting kind of nervous about Dane at times. But I'll tell you, when you can balance it off with a running game, especially at these weather conditions, it's a big plus for the Tiger Cats.
Oh, a huge plus. Wes Hills is far and away the outstanding player in this game. And it's this simple. The Ticats earlier this season lose that game. They lost every one of those games earlier this year, but they found a way to overcome the mistakes that they did make or the areas where they lacked production. And Dane, that the interception going into the wind in the first half, it's tough. The wind is battling the ball. You like that you're taking shots, and then the second interception on the running back screen is a mistake. That's a ball that you shouldn't throw. I just think that he settled down and managed the game with the help of Wes Hills and Tommy Condell putting the ball in Wes Hills' hands, and he managed the game. And those mistakes didn't stop compounding in games earlier this year. And then, of course, like we just touched on, the defense was lights out in the second half.
Andy, I mean, we talk about what Luke is talking about, and I think you and I were really, really impressed with that field goal drive to give the Tiger Cats their 18th point. 13 plays, 7:38 taken off the clock. That's championship-style stuff.
It is, and they were getting such big chunks on first down really throughout the whole game. I mean, you look at the average of the second down positioning, and it's got to be tops for the whole year. 2nd and 1 to 2nd and 4. That happened 70% of the time. It seems like I got to get the final stats, but you're getting big chunks on first down, mostly with Wes Hill running the ball, which was great. And to grind out that long drive where you start with 1st and 15 and then the second after one first down, then it's 2nd and 11 and you get the first down. Just to continue to just barely or just to continue to move the chains and draw that clock and take the energy out of Saskatchewan's hopes and pump this crowd up. It was great to see, and I love that part of the game, being a player and being able to stay on the field through that fourth quarter where you're against the wind and you're just putting together first downs, ending it up with that field goal. And you can't even forget about that punt too, that beautiful punt. That was a critical one. Is that where you're going to go to there, Courtney? I could see you ready to say. Go ahead.
No, it wasn't necessarily that, which it was a very strategic sequence for the Ticats there with the punt and then the good defensive sequence that set them up with better field position afterwards. But I was just going to touch on the run game and how the Ticats did it every which way to the point where Saskatchewan wasn't even substituting when the Ticats went to heavy personnel late in the game. It's almost as if they threw in the towel and said, that's not working. Let's just stick with the guys who start the first 12 and see if they can stop the run. Because Wes was getting it out of the shotgun, gun strong, gun weak, motioning into the backfield from pistol, and they just did it with 5 receivers on the field, with 2 back. I mean, there was no answer for Wes Hills.
Yeah, and you got to think that it's not like Sask came in here thinking the running Hamilton Tiger Cats that we have to shut down. You know, like Wes Hills, I mean, he's had he's strung together good games, but not like that. Well over 100 yards.
First of the season, I think, for the Tiger Cats.
For the team, for a 100-yard rusher, yes. And I mean, that was huge on the first down efficiency. That fourth quarter drive 2 games ago against what was their best game of the season so far against Winnipeg at home, they did the same thing. Yeah. They put together a 7.5-minute drive in the fourth quarter to end it out, and that's winning playoff football.
Yeah, Wes Hills, 25 for 132 on the ground. Add in that 26-yard reception. You're talking 158 yards of offense. What a performance there. And Sask Smalls, 4 for 4 field goals. Sask didn't even attempt a field goal the whole game. And that's really the difference in the ball game.
I think we can say it's pretty unanimous that Wes Hills will be our performer of the game, presented by Hercules Tire. Right on our strength. And you're right, Luke. I mean, this is certainly not a team that we would expect to be running as much as they did, but certainly in this time of the year, it's certainly cashed in. Folks, we have exclusive access to the coaching room. Time to check in with Coach Orlando Steinauer as presented by Access Storage. Coach, you've been around here long enough to know that sometimes you just need a little offense, a little special teams work, but I don't care if it's Mosca, Grover, or Montfort, Hitchcock, or even Simone. This is a team and a city that really appreciates a defensive effort. And, boy, you got it tonight, especially in that second half.
Yeah, no, just a complete team effort. Very disappointed. Obviously we had a few things that didn't go our way. Early on, gave up touchdowns, didn't score touchdowns, got a punt blocked. The second half, obviously, we were able to do enough to pull out a win, but just super proud of everybody.
Coach, what was your interpretation of that play where you had a holding penalty and the intentional grounding that seemed to be a safety, but was the ball over the line, or what did they tell you?
They just told me that it had been reviewed because I was pretty sure I was going to challenge it, even though they didn't. It seemed just clear to me he was in the end zone. But I'm not sure. After they said that when I was going to challenge it, they said that they had already looked at it, so I didn't want to burn the challenge. But I still am going to need clarification myself on what that is.
Yeah, you and me both, Coach. What's the message to the team now in the locker room? You control your destiny, but you do still have to win. And that magic number is 3 between wins for Hamilton and losses for Saskatchewan. What's the message?
Well, to enjoy this one, first of all, and then just to understand that we're on to the next. We're on to the next game, and that's what it is. So everybody works too hard. They work too hard to not enjoy this. Everybody knows what it is, and pressing that right after a game is just not how we handle things.
Coach O, a big part of your philosophy is to be multiple in what you do to attack the opponent. Today, 25 rushes for Wes Hill. Could you just talk about putting something different on tape than what it's been so far this season?
Well, we knew that, when you start getting down to it, the colder it gets, it's great to be finesse, and sometimes you're going to have to air it out 50 times. And then sometimes you're going to have to just be physical consistently in all three phases. And so, I really can't say enough about up front on offense and defense. I felt like our guys, they were physical too, but we were equally physical and at times even more. And so that's what it was. And when things are rolling and heading downhill, we were in second and medium most of the day or shorter. So it's you got to do whatever the game plan is for that week that gives you the best chance to win. And we felt like we had an opportunity to do that and establish ourselves up front.
Coach, on the flip side, Shaq Cooper with only 5 rush attempts for 7 yards. How much easier is it to make adjustments when you make a team one-dimensional and throwing the ball only?
Yeah, well, we did expect them to run the ball a little bit more. We know that they're down their star backs, but we kind of thought their identity was to, not put the ball in Cody's hands as much as they did. And, credit Jason. He changed it up also and went a little bit away from what they had been for the majority of the year. But, yeah, when you make a team one-dimensional, it allows us to brush the passer a little bit. And I thought we did a great job in the rotation and making him uncomfortable and didn't let him affect us with his legs. So he's going to do it a little bit, but we didn't let him affect him with our legs and give up big explosions.
Coach, really interesting special teams game tonight. You have, unfortunately, a blocked punt. You have an onside punt, an inadvertent onside punt, and then at the end of the game, your punt team has to do this max protect and sort of directional punt there. The playoffs always sort of produce in the CFL some interesting kicking game scenarios. Is it something that you guys start to talk a little different about? Does the special teams get more attention as you move into the end of the season?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I'm still not sure on the dribble. I just am unsure of. I got to get a clarification on that. But yeah, as far as bringing everybody in on punt, that's something that we've worked on since the beginning of the year, where we knew that there's going to be instances we're going to have to protect first and cover second. And so at that point, we were going to bring all 12 in and make sure we were ready to go. So yes, it's always an emphasis in this organization, as you know. But certain situations are what you really have to practice. And so there was one that showed up today, and we'll be better in that area. We got to find a way to get on that thing, even if it goes 1 yard.
Coach O, it was kind of a somber mood here on Labor Day, and you said to your fan base, stick with us. Well, the party is on now for the postseason, so certainly enjoy this victory. And, boy, it's going to be a fun one getting ready for Calgary. I'm sure practice is going to be a lot of fun this week.
Yeah, and I say the same thing. Ticat Nation, stay with us. Stay with us. These guys, they got it in them, but got to prove it each week.
Enjoy, Coach. Thanks for joining us. We really appreciate your time.
Thanks. Nice job, fellas. Have a great night.
Exclusive access to the coaching room. That was Coach Orlando Steinauer. Boy, you can see the smiles on his face, and of course, it's presented to you by Access Storage. And you can't help but now look forward. I mean, we gotta take one game at a time, but it's going to be really hard, Andy, to not look forward and forecast and start looking at stats and who's playing who from here on in.
Yeah, it's been a roller coaster of energy here in Hamilton all season long, and but they got to piece two or more games together in a row and ride that momentum into practice. Be loose and confident, but stay focused and poised, and just go out and execute and do something that Hamilton hasn't been able to do in a long, long time, which is win in Calgary.
Luke, and I know we've referenced this season before. Right? We talked about that season, that first season with June Jones, when you guys were rallying. You're rallying. And now, with this win, that confidence level must be just blowing through the roof right now.
Yeah, and they won in a different way than they have previously in the season, and certainly the confidence and the energy, just the knowing that you can find a way to do it, whatever it's going to look like in Calgary or in the Ottawa back-to-back series, that you've proven to yourself that you'll find the way in the fourth quarter, in the second half to do it. Andy, I'm with you right there. I'm already there mentally that now you're not at Tim Hortons Field, which is the only place you've won this year. Now you have to go out against Calgary Stampeders, who have already locked themselves into the playoff in the Western Conference, who are playing good, and it's in Calgary. This is a real contest and a battle for Hamilton to go out west, and it couldn't have come at a better time in the season, or I should say a time when it couldn't come at a time where they're more prepared than now.
Courtney, how do you feel about this situation now of just looking forward? I mean, you got to maintain that sort of emotion about what happened here today, but looking forward as well, too. You got to remain locked in.
Well, Luke talked about games earlier this year where similar situations, they might not have come out on the same end of this one. And it's those cumulative experiences added together that make a veteran team, that make an experienced team, so guys know not to let go of the rope early in the fourth quarter if it's not going their way, or if it's a tight game, you can maintain your poise because you've been there, done that now. So a game where it's grinded out, come from behind, hit a field goal, it's a possession game at the end where you got to bleed the clock, a game where you're up by a lot and you have to defend the lead. Those are all different experiences that this group now has been a part of, and that's going to benefit them going into this last run.
You know, with all due respect to to Jackson and Sean Thomas Erlington, like I think Wes Hills is developed himself as the starter from here on in.
Yeah, he made in some ways all the difference tonight. At one point in the game, to me, it boiled down to Wes Hills' production on the ground and the rushing and the pass rush from the Hamilton defense.
You know, we go right back to the locker room and connect with our player of the game and performer of the game, presented by Hercules Tire. Ride on our strength. And this exclusive post-game interview with Wes Hills is presented by Access Storage. And Wes, boy, 25 carries, 132 yards, and you caught a pass as well, too. I know that you've said this before. Feed me the football. Well, you got fed the football tonight, and that got to be good for you.
Yeah, it felt great, man. The line did a great job today, man. If you wrote a clip, watched the film, they manhandled on the boys up front. You know, they made my job super easy today. Shit, I made them look good. They did all the hard work. I get the glory. I'll take it.
How nice is it when you're controlling the line of scrimmage, both sides of the ball, really? I mean, you're getting pushed on the offense, and then you see your defense is wrecking havoc.
Man, we got some dogs up front on both sides of the ball, man. You know, and we playing our football. We getting there slowly but surely. Just like I said in our interview earlier this week, man, it don't matter how we did it. You got to find a way to win. Doesn't matter how it looked. And it wasn't pretty, but we got it done.
Wes, you had over 100 yards on the ground. No Ticat player has done that yet this season. Congrats on that. But you also had a great reception out of the backfield. Can you just talk to me about all the different ways you were getting first downs here for your team?
Oh man, the OC put us in position to be successful today, man. They, that pass, I was wide open, man. I don't know how they missed me on the defense, but Dane saw me and I was able to make a play.
Hey Wes, I gotta ask you this. There's times when you get the ball 3-4 times in a row. I know that you gotta be gassed out there, but how do you put yourself in a state of mind mentally to just keep getting the rock? And your job's tough, man. You're running between the tackles. You're doing a grown man's work. How do you keep it up all game?
That mentality that I have, man, I've been here for 2 years, just patiently waiting for my opportunity, right? And Coach O blessed me with that opportunity. I got the call, and I just got to make sure I run away with it, make the most of these opportunities. So that constant hunger and chip, on my shoulder, is how I play the game. I go out there and just try to get after you. Make sure you feel me the whole game. Make sure you know I'm here.
When you took the podium this week with your media availability, you said must-win situation.
Must win.
Job done. Now it's go to Calgary. What's your outlook for that game?
Hey, it's the same outlook, man. Do the same thing. Prepare. get ready to play. It's a must-win. We got to win out. We know this. We know what's at stake, and we know what we need to get, our end goal. So we got to go out there and get after them next week. Enjoy the night. Yeah, we can enjoy this win, but at the end of the day, we got to go back to the drawing board tomorrow.
Well, we look forward to you getting down dirty at practice and certainly grinding it out in Calgary. Wes Hills, thank you so much for joining us. Tremendous football game and your offense as well, too. A great job. And enjoy this victory, and we'll chat with you during the week.
All right. Sounds good, man. Thank you.
Congrats,
have a good
Wes.
one.
Performer of the game presented by Hercules Tire. Ride on our strength. And that post-game interview was presented by Access Storage. Guys, I think each one of us throughout that interview with Wes Hills, I'll start with you, Luke. We all had a smile on our face because he's enjoying that victory.
Yeah, he's enjoyable to talk to, man. The guy just loves playing football. Like he's one of those kind of clearly he's having fun doing his job, which is a very physical job. And I mentioned one time during the broadcast, obviously he was running the ball fantastic. It's got to be one of the best, Andy, to your point, it's got to be one of the best first down efficiency games the Ticats have had, which is much credit to Wes Hills. But there was one time he stepped up in pass protection. You could hear it from the booth up there. His pads cracking. You can tell he's authentic. He honestly loves the contact. Exciting to watch and fun to talk to.
Every time he gets through the line and gets hit, it's an extra 3 yards.
Yeah.
Somebody's just trying to drag him down. There's no tackles where he's getting sent the opposite way that he's moving. Big guy. This is the kind of player that you want to be carrying the rock come playoff time, come that cold weather games, to just be physical and continue to grind out a defense throughout a game.
And I tell you, it's one thing for a middle linebacker or a will linebacker to be tackling a guy like that all game, but let him get on the edge, and you're going to see what your DBs are made out of, because they don't want that. They don't want a face full of Wes Hills over and over and over again.
Well, especially when he gets into that second level, and guys like you, when you're playing safety, your tackling technique has to be on point.
I'm slicing them.
Yeah, that's a low tackle. Yeah, 100%.
Last thing, guys, quickly around the table. We don't run out of time here. Okay, great win here. Got to focus on one more job, and that's the next one, as Coach O always says. Going to Calgary. All three of you guys have had that difficult trip to McMahon. And Luke, what do they got to do?
Yeah, it's tough. You got to stay focused throughout this week, and you got to be not surprised at the Calgary energy when you get out there. It is a tough place to win football games, but you just got to go out there and stay within yourself and do your job. You got to get rid of the discipline issues that they had tonight. There was a few times where they really kept Cody Fajardo on the field just from their own mistakes and lack of discipline on the field. I will say one thing that we haven't talked much about was the presence of Lawrence Woods again tonight, and he does look different out there, meaning different from other returners out there on the field. He was a huge part of that, and you hope that all of these things continue to work together, give him a chance in Calgary.
And I think going to Calgary, Mark Killam's special teams unit is going to be ready. They're one of the best in the league every year. So those little details, they got to get cleaned up. That's something they were able to get away with today.
Yeah.
You don't usually win a game when you get a punt blocked. So
good point.
Going to Calgary, I think that'll be something that's definitely a point of emphasis.
Yeah, you gotta treat this game just like you treated this game, with that must win. Just 1-0. Don't look forward. Don't think we can lose this and still win in Ottawa. You gotta win this game and treat it like a must win, because you don't know what Saskatchewan is going to do in the last two games.
Courtney Stephen and Luke Tasker, thank you for joining us on Tiger Cats Post Game here on Tiger Cats Post Game. Well, an impressive victory for the Hamilton Tiger Cats in front of their home crowd. They defeat the Saskatchewan Roughriders 18-14. They are now 5-10. The Riders fall to 6-10. Thank you so much for listening. For Andy Fantuz, I'm Bubba O'Neill, and for the many hands that put this broadcast together, thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back next Friday night when Hamilton heads to Calgary. The Tiger Cats pregame presented by Journey Rewards starting at 8:30. And we'll be live on the Ticats Audio Network.